Alright, welcome. 200 meters in. It's easy game. Some crazy things happened this episode. So let's begin. Currently having Rooibos tea. I hope I pronounced that right. It's a South African. It's a good shout, man. It's a pretty chill and mild one that's got no caffeine in it. I'm not sure where you get it from. I got mine online, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty cool thing. So yeah, man. Herbal teas are flipping amazing. Saying that, today we're talking about detachment, the importance of it, and how it's something that is so hard to achieve, especially when you're on your way of essentially achieving your dreams, because it fundamentally comes from trust. And I'll go a little bit deeper into that, so just stay tuned for this one. But yeah, detachment, obviously on the times when you're starting to kind of go through your dreams, your aspirations, and kind of what you want from life. A lot of people, especially the quote-unquote Sigma Alpha people in of trend right now, they will tell you to be obsessed with whatever it is that your dreams and aspirations are. And don't get me wrong, perfectly fine analogy, perfectly fine kind of viewpoint. However, there's also a certain point where it comes from obsession, but also the ability to let things flow, the ability to just let things naturally happen. Not only naturally happen, but once you put in the work, trusting that you put in enough work, remaining optimistic and having hope. And you might say, hope is meaningless. However, the mindset it shifts you, and also the consistency it can bring you, is huge. Now you might be wondering, how does it bring you consistency? Well, it brings you consistency because of just the way that your sort of mindset operates. When you're more hopeful, you're more likely to do different things. And we just missed the craziest jump there. I don't think you understand how frustrating that was. 40 meters down. We still managed to make it back, so. Anyway, staying hopeful obviously gives you a really big kind of reason to continue carrying on. It gives you kind of purpose to move forward and continue to move forward. And so when you're obsessed with your dream and your vision, you're putting in the hours behind the work, behind the scenes. A lot of people can't see that. A lot of people, they don't really care too much about that. And so whilst you might be doing that, it's also really important to detach, just take a step back, and also, for one, analyze how you're moving forward, because a lot of times when you're obsessed, you're just smacking work at the same thing over and over and over. However, if we kind of take a step back, analyze if what we're doing is good and not, kind of like how you'd analyze data in a chart, for example, right? You'd see statistics. And so you kind of want to do that yourself. And I don't want to make it seem like really robotic. However, doing stuff like that really makes things a lot more logical, and it gives you a lot more of a reason to continue, collect data, iterate, and then continue to improve. And so detachment can not only provide that, but it gives you a chance to really step back and say to yourself, all right, how am I developing as a person? How am I developing towards this goal? And the kind of trust that comes along with it. Because when you become too attached to something, it can yield amazing results. It really can. But you also have to understand that nothing on this planet is entirely real, because everything is temporary. It only exists for the next 80 years or so of your life, or however long you're going to live for, right? According to you. So it's really important to kind of pay respect to that and also forge on forward. However, with that trust, with the trust that you can do certain things and the work you put in is enough. Sometimes you may need to put more work in. If it comes to a sport, for example, say you play basketball, you're going to have to put in a lot of hours to make it work. However, you also kind of need to detach a little bit to not only let your body recover, but also to kind of analyze the way you're playing. Are you good? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And so sometimes when you work too hard, it kind of comes from a little bit of insecurity. And you might be wondering how it is insecurity. Well, because it's all we know. We can't take a step back because we can't afford to. And so sometimes we tend to overwork ourselves on I don't want to say the wrong kind of things, because everything is a learning experience, but we tend to take action that isn't really the smartest. Because if we just made better choices every day, we wouldn't need to do that. We could allocate more time into becoming better, into becoming more patient, into becoming more with that flow, that sort of inner point, middle point, the middle of the yin and yang, if you will, and so on and so on. That flow state. And that state is something that requires detachment. It really does, because you're kind of like out of your body when you're kind of in that mode. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if anytime you felt like time just flew apart, time doesn't exist when you're in that flow state, and that flow state comes from detachment. And I would like to say detachment and attachment, which may confuse some of you, but it's true because again, yin and yang, attachment, detachment, you kind of have to find that center ground of, okay, I'm going to be really attached to this one task I'm doing for today, for example. However, I'm going to be detached with maybe the results or maybe the outcome. And that way you just work, and you'd just be so in sync with everything around you. It's like you and the activity that you're doing are one. And I ain't trying to sound like no hippie or anything like that, but you probably noticed that at some point in your life. And now we can build on trust. Detachment and trust, they kind of interlink because, and I'd say it kind of links to faith as well. However, faith and trust aren't exactly the exact same things, but they're pretty similar. So for the sake of the video, I can say it like that. Detachment is a form of trust. You're trusting yourself to let go. You're trusting yourself to embrace the outcome and to be kind of stoic about the outcome. You don't really put too much attention to it and you let things just happen just because they're out of your control. And we just fell again. So I want to skip that bit. Let's now realize I may not sync with the video. Anyway, and I think a lot of our generation, because we're too kind of into the, not even just our generation, but just the way that people are nowadays, they're too attached to everything. They're too attached to the outcome of everything, and they forget that nothing is real. And I don't mean to say that in the sense of like giving you maybe some sort of where you kind of feel like you're dissociating, if you will. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. Or at least, invoke. But yeah, when you truly accept that, and again, a lot of times, because attachment can lead from insecurities, when you're detached, you let things flow, you don't pay it too much attention, and then that's when things start working out for the better. That's when you start to become more grateful of things that happen every single day, because you're not expecting anything to happen. You're just attached. You're free, if you will. And free, that's the word I'm trying to look for, because being free will teach you a lot, man. It really will. And it's a state of mind where you have everything you want. You're not just there and just like, oh man, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. It's trust and that faith in yourself. And I keep repeating these things because I kind of want you to get the message really well. And these are really, really common themes when it comes to detachment. Trusting process. Trusting that what you will do will work out, and if it doesn't, so what? It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be obsessed with the results. The results will come as a result. The irony, right? But the result will come from the result of being detached, not expecting everything, and if it does come, it leads you to the right destination, because everything in life happens at the right time. And it might be hard to realize, but again, that's where that trust sort of comes in. And at the right timing, even though where you might not want it, but if you become detached, you start to actually embrace the flow of life and just accept things for just how they are. That's when life will start moving forward for you, and you'll start to make better actions and steps in terms of where you're trying to go in life. But yeah, I think that's detachment very briefly covered. I will cover it in a future episode properly. Yeah, man, it's a very important skill to have. But it can really take you to a lazy point as well, where you might mistake procrastination for detachment. And that's not what I'm trying to say. And a lot of people, especially a lot of the people who try to quote unquote manifest, they're a little bit too lazy with their work. They're expecting too much, and then they wonder why their manifestations don't come about. You haven't built enough concrete proof to yourself, and you're just lying to yourself, where you haven't developed enough of a plan, and also that work ethic in order to achieve what you achieve. And people miss that out, and they think that detachment is the solution alone. No, you need to attach and you need to detach. Attach by working harder, and detach by trusting in your work, trusting in yourself and your ability to perform. Anyway, do what you will with that. Peace and blessings to all. I'll be back in the next one.